For Michigan State head coach Kathy Klages, the 19th ranked Spartans have posted an impressive record for this season. The green and white were 5-0 going into their recent match against Michigan, and even though they stumbled against the Wolverines, the Spartans are living up to their national ranking with impressive scores from senior Rochelle Robinson. Today, they travel to Minnesota, a conference dual meet against the Golden Gophers, who have their own formidable senior in Alexis Russell, and a head coach who is used to winning in Meg Stevenson. Today, it's Michigan State against Minnesota, a Big Ten conference meet right now on the Big Ten Network. From the University of Minnesota Sports Pavilion, the Big Ten Network presents Women's Gymnastics. 19th ranked Michigan State taking on Minnesota. Hello again, everyone. I'm Leah Secondo, alongside our expert analysis from Elise Ray, the U.S. Olympian and very decorated gymnast from the University of Michigan. So glad to have you with us tonight.
Thank you.
As we look into these two teams for tonight's dual meet, the national rankings have come out. It's early, but the Big Ten is well represented in the scoring in the top 25.
Yes, they are, and it is early. I think the most important thing right now that the teams are worrying about is their team's rhythm, how they're going to compete this season. They're thinking about just the scores and how well they're performing, not so much the rankings right now, but it is so important to represent the Big Ten and compete against a fellow Big Ten school because they will see each other again in the Big Ten championship.
For Minnesota, they are led by their lone senior. She is a spunky young woman who will be going on, we understand it's a politics, but right now she's concentrating in gymnastics, and Alexis Russell.
Alexis Russell is an extremely strong all-around performer for the Gophers. She is the strongest returning all-arounder for the team, is competing all around tonight for the team, and has progressively become a stronger athlete as she's gotten older. From her freshman year on to her senior year, she's gotten better and better. I think she's going to have an outstanding season this year.
Russell along with Rochelle Robinson, two young ladies. They're on the 2010 Gymnasts to Watch in the Big Ten, and Rochelle Robinson is going to be competing tonight in every single event.
That's right, and this is her first competition competing in all-around this season. So this will be really exciting for all of us to see how she does tonight. She's an extremely strong performer on the vault, hasn't scored below a 9.8 yet this season, was Big Ten bars champion last year, so we'll look forward to seeing that tonight. Just an all-around great performer.
The rotation for this evening's event for Minnesota, the vault, the bars, the beam, and they'll finish on the floor. For Michigan State, they will start on the bars, the vault, the floor exercise, and the beam. A little bit earlier, we had an opportunity for a sneak peek in Minnesota's locker room.
Because we went through so much this week, and just go hit it.
Yeah!
Deliberate. Awesome. Confident. Believe. Fun. Go big. Believe. Live in the moment. Confident. Be strong. One thing at a time. Have fun. Commit. Relax. Yeah!
We are a much better team than we were a week ago. And tonight we're going to go out and show people that because it's a fact. Let's stay sharp. Let's stay in the bubble. Make things happen.
Let's go!
Final thoughts from volunteer head coach Jim Stevenson as we prepare for the march in. A fabulous setting here at the Sports Pavilion, Big Ten Women's Gymnastics this evening as the Spartans head on to the floor and march in. And Elise, the moment of this opportunity to step on the floor and be appreciated by the crowd before you even start tonight, it's really amazing. Super crowd on hand.
Yes, this is a huge moment of the competition. Everyone's feeling a lot of adrenaline right now, a little bit of nerves, but good nerves. Makes you excited, gives you that energy, and really gives you a chance to represent yourself individually, give a wave to the crowd when you're standing amongst your team. It's a really nice moment each competition.
Got to let your personality come out a little bit, too, when you're waving to the crowd and being recognized.
That's right. Give a little smile, do a little dance, whatever you want.
And these final moments as the team comes out together preparation in your mind? Are you running through any of your routines at this point, or is it just trying to release and...
Release. Definitely a little bit of a release. Not quite yet, although as soon as they step behind that white curtain over there into the event, it'll begin the mental preparation. But right now, just kind of gearing up, feeling the music, feeling the vibe.
Super Olympic type atmosphere as we await the University of Minnesota. Goldie will lead them out. Meg Stevenson, the head coach, patting Goldie. And the fans here at the Sports Pavilion are on their feet for the Gophers. Very festive atmosphere, the color and pageantry.
There's a lot of young gymnasts in the crowd tonight too, which will bring a lot of screams and a lot of energy to this competition tonight.
It will make the pavilion feel extremely loud throughout the evening. The fight song being played.
I don't know if gymnasts throwing t-shirts is a very good idea. We have to but I guess we'll see if they make it past the first couple rows.
As we continue to introduce the Minnesota players, a little bit earlier I had an opportunity to speak with Michigan State head coach Kathy Klages. Coach, a great start to the season thus far. You had mentioned in the Michigan meet that you were not pleased with the detail aspects from that meet. You've had a couple of days to think about it. What have you discussed with your team?
Well, we've had a couple of days to think about it, but not much practice time. So we watched the film from the Michigan meet. We actually watched the meet again today on television, and we had a very brief and short practice on Thursday and tried to hit some of those details. But we know what we need to do, and we'll just try to focus on that tonight.
A little bit tight, maybe because the turnaround time was so short as far as the preparation is concerned. So how do you relax your team before they come out to the meet tonight?
Well, I think that any gymnast will tell you that they would much rather compete than practice. And so that's the kind of mentality we try to go into this we call it a double weekend, even though it was a Wednesday, Saturday. And we just say, hey, this is a lot more fun than a practice. And you do less in a meet than you would in a practice. And so therefore, you can do it.
Four seniors that you have been so important to you in your program. If you could just real quickly talk about their importance to the Spartan team.
Well, I think that this team has been led really well by this senior class. We have focused in on a number of things this year, a little differently than we have in the past, and they have been right on board, jumping on with the coaching staff and really helping us direct this team to getting as good a start as we have this year.
Your young freshman has been sensational in the conference thus far this season, really coming on as a firestorm. If you would, please expound upon that.
Yes, Shanti has done an outstanding job this season. And what's sad for her is that her teammate Tara Neal is out with an elbow injury. And so Shanti's the only freshman on the team, and she's doing a great job on the competition floor. And it's hard for a freshman, to change from that individual feeling of competition into it's a team thing. And, she was very, very tense at the very beginning at our green and white competition, but we just said, hey, don't be afraid, it's a team sport. Welcome it, because you've got teammates to help you out.
Coming up next, first rotation, Minnesota on the vault, Michigan State on the bars. Minnesota's Alexis Russell and Michigan State's Rochelle Robinson, two of the top Big Ten competitors in their respective events. Welcome back to the Sports Pavilion on the campus of the University of Minnesota. Big Ten women's gymnastics this evening. More women's gymnastics coming up for you when Minnesota, Alabama, and Penn State go at it. On Saturday, it's a showcase of their skills in Big Ten women's gymnastics at Penn State, 11 a.m. Eastern in HD, and that's only on the Big Ten Network. A little bit earlier today, I had an opportunity to sit down with Minnesota head coach Meg Stevenson. Coach Stevenson, a little bit different role for you this year as far as your preparation come match time is concerned. If you would, how is it different for you this time around without your husband on the sidelines with you?
Well, for one thing, I'm speaking with you by myself and not with him. But actually, he is still around quite a bit. I think in the gym you wouldn't notice much of a difference during practice. He's still there every day, still helping us plan all the practices, but certainly not at the forefront, not doing the spotting like he was. But we're all really grateful that he is still in the picture and still supporting us in the ways that he used to.
Preparation for this meet in particular, you've had some time off, but it's been interesting because the practice time hasn't always been there for you.
No, we got back from our break and we really, up until this week, had only had 2 practices a week. So this week we had 4, and we're really excited about that. We were able to back up and fix a few things and get some kids healthy. So tonight we're excited to show that improvement and also put a few new kids in the lineup.
And speaking of improvement, the fact that you improved so much on the bar from one meet to another.
Yes, I think that was a nice shot last weekend when we were at Nebraska, and I think we can show that improvement in a lot of other events as well, so we're hoping for that tonight.
Some changes in your lineup, if you could just talk about that a little bit.
We have Jamie Bullock competing tonight. It's the first time she's competed since last season. She's a redshirt junior for us. She'll be doing bars and beams. She's an excellent performer. And then we're going to try Shannon Golich starting us off on balance beams. She's one of our freshmen.
First rotation, Minnesota on the vault, Michigan State on the bars. And Elise, looking at the lineup for tonight, we've had some last-minute changes. We've had some shuffling, but 1 through 6, you want your strongest at the end of the competition, correct?
That's right. The most important position, score-wise, will be the anchor position. You want the scores to build as the competition progresses, as the event progresses.
Kendra Elm preparing, the junior from Plymouth, Minnesota, and her club team Olympic Gymnastics. On the vault, a career best 9.775. Nebraska this year, her only vault, a 9.625. They make some last-minute adjustments for Kendra.
On the ball from the Golden Gophers, Kendra Elm.
Solid effort to start the evening for the Gophers.
That was a strong vault for Kendra. We saw her in warm-ups and in touch. She was a little bit shy, but right here you can tell she lands it very nice. Very upright position, and just a tiny hop. Nice vault there.
Coach Meg Stevenson to meet her. Coach Stevenson in her 18th season here at Minnesota. As we move across now to the bars, Kelsey Morley, the junior. Gymnastics is her club team, 5'4". She's set to go on the bars. Second team all Big Ten selection a year ago. And also an academic Big Ten honor.
She has a nice combination there. Giant full to a Tkachev.
And slips off.
Looks like a little grip malfunction there. Grips are made of Velcro that wrap around. Let's take a look what happened here. She slips off a little early. Right at the bottom, you'll see her ping off. You'll see her Velcro there. It's undone around her wrist. That may have had something to do with that slip. She looks okay, though, getting geared up to jump back up. They only have a certain amount of time allowed to mount the bar again.
And refocus. And how difficult is it to, granted it was a malfunction of equipment, but a nice job refocusing there for the finish.
Absolutely, and it can be hard to do. You have a very short amount of time, but as you can see, with that stuck dismount there, I think we'll see it again right here. Nice stick there, no deduction. Great way to finish that.
Season high at 9.650. We'll see what the judges give her for that exhibition. And Kylie Smith, the sophomore. Kendra Elm's score, a season high, 9.8. for Minnesota on their first attempt. Here's the seconds of the evening.
Nice vault there as well. Her form was perfect in that twist. Sometimes as gymnasts leave the horse, you can see a slight leg separation, but with this vault here, no separation at all.
Nicely done. Deneen Haba, a sophomore from Germantown, Tennessee.
Deneen has a tricky job right here, following someone who has just fallen. It's a tough job. You kind of have to regain the rhythm of the team. This will be an important routine right here.
Season high 9.550, and that just coming off the Michigan meet. Deneen appears on the vault, the floor, and the bars for the Spartans. Also attended Ball State before coming over to Michigan State.
Starts her routine off here with an uprise handstand, just short of handstand, full handstand. Another release move there, Tkachev. There's her transition between high and low bar, a pack salto. It's a very difficult skill, and very well done there. Leading up here for her dismount. You can see a different dismount than we just saw. She steps on with her foot and then propels herself off with that foot.
Solid and efficient.
This is her transition between high and low. As I said, a pack salto, very difficult skill. And this dismount here is unique. She comes off with one foot and adds a half twist right before that landing, which makes it blind, actually very difficult to land.
Strong one foot.
Strong one foot, yes. She's gained a lot of distance with that one leg.
We move back over to the vault. Yari Nagai, the junior from Maryville, Tennessee, and Premier Athletics. Nagai on the season, 9.550 is her best.
That was a big vault. This is a very common vault to do in collegiate gymnastics, and what's going to differentiate between the vaults, as we can see here, is the height off that horse. She gets a lot of height and a lot of distance. She is, see from the side here, especially the distance she gains. That'll make her stand out.
Focus and the concentration now moves on to the next event for Nagai. Kylie Smith prior to Nagai with a 9.7 on her vault. And we move over to the Big Ten Freshman of the Week. Shanti Taiki, Columbus, Indiana, Wright's Gymnastics Academy, and a very compact 4'11".
On the bars for Michigan State, Shanti Taiki.
Three-time recipient of the Wright's Gymnastics Team Spirit Award. She was 6th in the all-arounds at the Junior Nationals in 06.
She had an interesting mount there. She started in between the bars.
Beautiful.
She had a big release, another Tkachev that rose very high above the bar. That was well done. Going up for her dismount here. Double
solid.
back.
Teammates going out.
We'll see that huge Tkachev right there, directly into straddle back handstand, which will gain her bonus for that connection. And here's the dismount, double back. No steps on that landing.
Super job for the freshman in Taiki. And moving back over now to the vault. Jasmine Brown, the junior from Marietta, California, and the Elite Gymnastics Club. Career high 9.8 at Nebraska.
As you can see, that vault had a different entry. She jumped on the board with 2 feet and came on with a half twist. Half twist onto the horse and full twist off. It's called a souk full.
Will she be able to beat her career high that she just had at Nebraska? As we move over now to the bars, Selena Rodriguez, the sophomore, competing for the first time this year on the bars from Kentwood, Michigan. And how difficult is this for Selena? She must have so many thoughts as she begins her routine.
Yes, there's probably a lot of butterflies going on in her stomach. You know, you can do a million bar routines a day, but it's very different stepping in that competition.
Great anticipation.
As I said before, those nerves are good. You don't want to enter a competition without those
the nerves, right.
Yes.
When you don't have the nerves, you become complacent.
On the bars from Michigan State, Selena
As Rodriguez is announced.
Nice complete handstand there. Selena has very nice lines. There she did what's called a free hip, and she hopped her hands to a reverse grip. Did a nice transition back up to that high bar. Beautiful giant full, straight into a double back dismount. She came off that bar a little early, which caused her to be under-rotated and put those hands down.
Now, her lines were very straight on the bar. How much of a deduction on the dismount for not sticking the dismount?
She will have a 5/10 deduction for that fall. There's that beautiful giant full right there. And as you can see, she just comes off a little too early and is under-rotated with those 2 flips.
Alexis Russell, the star. Senior, the lone senior and top all-around competitor for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Jasmine Brown, her teammate, competing with a 9.625 previous, and here's Russell. Great height.
Yes, absolutely. That is a big amount of height off that horse. Looked like she had a small pike down, so she will gain a little bit of deduction there. See that height off the horse? And she did have to pike down just a little bit to make sure those feet hit the ground so she wasn't under-rotated. As you can see here too, though, she has that distance away from the horse.
Her career best is a 9.9. This season, a 9.850, where she was a top finisher in 3 of 4 events.
On the bars from Michigan State.
And on the bars now, the senior from Bay City, Michigan, Nicole Curler. Second team All Big Ten a year ago, currently ranked 8th in the nation on the beam, and on the bars, just as strong.
Nicole mounted from the high bar and just finished a huge ginger, a big release move in between the bars. Nice transition from high to low. She hit that vertical handstand and did not move. Big dismount here, double layout, 2 flips in a stretched position. Very well done, just small step on that landing. Big dismount, 2 flips in a stretched position, which is a much larger value than when you do 2 flips in a tucked position, and much harder.
Curler someday would like to coach collegiate gymnastics, but she'll have to wait for that right now as we move back over to the vault. Lucy Ennis, the sophomore. And our 6th competitor.
Lucy has a front entry vault, front handspring, front pike, which was huge off that horse. Watch this block off the horse and the height she maintains to finish that flip. You can see that she completes this vault in a piked position, much more difficult than a tucked position.
Wow.
That is a nice vault.
She's had a 9.775 twice already this year. That's a career best that she matched twice, or last season as well. And a player that's on the 2010 Gymnast to Watch list for the Big Ten, the senior from Chesapeake, Virginia, Ocean Tumblers Club team, Rochelle Robinson. First team All Big Ten in 2009, and second team selection in 08.
There's Rochelle mounting from the high bar. Big release here, huge to Katchev. Directly into that straddle back handspring. She'll have a nice amount of bonus there.
We call that solid air awareness.
Oh, yes.
Oh, way to stick it at the end.
And that dismount is a double back flip with a full twist in the middle. Look at this release move here. She is sky high above that bar. And nice transition back to the low bar. In this dismount here, she's gonna do 2 flips, and she starts the twist right in the middle of that second twist. Nice dismount.
Rotation 1 results on the vault. Kendra Elm, a solid effort.
Big score from Kendra, 9.8, only 2/10 away from that perfect 10.
And for Michigan State, they start on the bar. Solid effort by Rochelle Robinson.
Expected, she is such a strong bar worker.
So the team score after the first rotation for Minnesota. Coming up next, the second rotation. Michigan State on the vault and Minnesota on the uneven bars. The Sports Pavilion, home for many sports here at the University of Minnesota. Today it showcases gymnastics and women's gymnastics here in the Big Ten. Second rotation is about to begin, and for each of the teams, they're starting their final preps, adjustments to what they're going to be doing. Alexis Russell looking on. Nicole Perler preparing.
And the last time these girls touched the event was probably about an hour ago. So you have to keep in mind that maybe their grips feel a little different, or like on vault, maybe their legs are a little cold. So they have this opportunity to just take 1 or 2 turns just to freshen up before they have to compete.
The preparation and the thought process continues, and a little bit earlier when things were mild, I had an opportunity to speak with Michigan State standout, Rochelle Robinson. Final go-around for you in the senior year. Your feelings real quick on it moving along quickly, more quick than you had imagined, being so early in the season?
Yeah, the season is going by pretty fast, especially after having the 2 meets this week and finishing up at Minnesota. But it's kind of going to be a bittersweet thing when it's finally going to be over. Just the main goal for the season is just to go out with no regrets.
What is your favorite event that you participate in?
My favorite event to actually do in front of a whole bunch of people would have to be floor, just because I like to be a comical person and I love to dance. So most people call me a diva at times. I get it from my mom, but I like to show off a lot.
So you'll be working it for the crowd tonight?
Oh, for sure, of course.
As far as the power in your legs, I've heard numerous people talk about what great leg strength you have, and that ability, you actually bend the bar sometimes and you're really working the bar. Where did you get that leg strength from? What type of physical training did you do to prepare yourself for that?
I don't really know. My dad's got pretty big legs, and my mom was a track runner, so I guess it's just genetics, and it all just came from there. I've always had pretty much a muscular build. So does my other sisters as well, though.
Preparing for this meet, the quick turnaround from your last meet against Michigan. Obviously, you guys have had a great season. If you could, just the mental preparation for a positive outcome for you tonight.
For tonight, not everything went as planned as we wanted to go at Michigan, so we're really thirsty going into this Minnesota meet, and we definitely can capitalize off of it, I feel.
Coming up, the second rotation, Michigan State on the vault, Minnesota on the bars. Welcome back. The TCF Bank Stadium, brand new football stadium here on the campus of the University of Minnesota. Across the street, women's gymnastics going on. Michigan State taking on Minnesota at the Sports Pavilion. The second rotation lineups, Minnesota on the bars, Michigan State on the vault. Of course, we see Rochelle Robinson at the end there for Michigan State the 6th person as one of the top all-around competitors at Big Ten gymnastics. And for these young ladies tonight, an opportunity to shine in front of a solid crowd and a solid effort being provided by them. Getting sets for our second rotation, the junior Nicole Argros, one of 4 seniors named to the 2010 Gymnast to Watch list. Club team Michigan Academy, an academic all Big Ten, and finishing 7th a year ago in the all-round. Made her collegiate debut on the balance beam at the NCAA Central Regionals a year ago. Also competed in the vault and on the uneven bars.
There we see another Yurchenko full. She's had a small step on that landing. Nicole's legs as well are just glued together in that twist. Always a nice thing to see. No separation there. Chest just slightly low on that landing.
Twice she's hit her season high at 9.8. Her career high on the vault is a 9.875.
On the bar for the Golden Gophers, Yuri Nagai.
We move over to the bars and Yuri Nagai.
Ooh, strong handstand there to start this routine. Here's her transition to the low bar. Another pack salto, a laid out flip to catch that low bar. Very difficult, as I said earlier. Winding up here to her dismount. She'll lose a little bit on that dismount because of the steps after. She also did a full out twist there. There's that beautiful handstand and the big pack salto. You can see all that air between her hands and the bar before she catches it. Winds up strong. 2 flips, 1 twist. Looks like she landed a little stiff leg there. May have resulted in those steps.
Deneen Haba, the sophomore, and you saw her score there on the bars, a 9.625 on the vault for the season. Argros's score just prior, a 9.725.
There we see that Yurchenko one more time. She had a large amount of distance between the horse and her landing, which is a good thing. She's a little bit of piked position in the air. You can see her hips close just slightly, creating that pike position. Large step to the side there. That'll cost her maybe 1 or 2 tenths in deduction.
Not too bad of a deduction, though, correct?
Not too bad, though. The bigger the step, the larger the deduction.
Making some adjustments on the bar as Jamie Bullock gets set. For Bullock, coming from a family of hockey players, this is her first competition in nearly 2 years for the junior out of Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and Tags South Club. Her career best on the bars is a 9.70, but as we mentioned, has been saddled with some injuries, and she must be ecstatic to have this opportunity as her name is announced.
I saw Jamie warming up this bar routine, and she has some huge skills. Let's take a look at this mount right here. It's called the Shapashnikova, right here from the low bar to the high bar. Beautifully done, straight into a shoot over.
See her wearing the back brace
And Jamie also has a huge dismount. Double layout, full out with a stock landing for her debut bar performance.
How exciting for Jamie Bullock. Such long legs on the extension on the release.
Oh, that gave me chills. Right there you could see that Shaposhnikova, and that is a very difficult skill. It's actually one of my favorites in all of gymnastics. And she could not have done this dismount more beautifully. Her body is in a perfect position, and she did not budge.
Beautiful straight lines, gleaming from ear to ear is Jamie Bullock. Fabulous.
On the ball for Michigan State,
Kelsey Morley steps in, the junior from Elkhart, Indiana. And also on the 2010 Big Ten Gymnastics to watch.
So that was a very interesting vault. We have not seen that yet tonight. There were a whole lot of twists going on right there. Let's take a look at that again. She comes into the horse twisting and keeps twisting off the horse. We see here that it's 1.5 on and 1.5 off. Now that's air awareness.
Her season best is a 9.725. Also a cheerleader. And we move over to Lucy Ennis, who competed on the vault. And the sophomore getting prepared, as you see her vault score 9.75. On the bars, her season best a 9.8.
Lucy does a blind change into what's called a piked Jaeger. You can do that skill also in a straddle position, but she chooses to do it piked. Looks very nice. Here she comes, big dismount. And a double layout for her too. 2 full twists in a stretched body position.
And Lucy's experience of being the only member to compete as a freshman in every competition in the regular season is so important as she headed into this sophomore season.
Here's that 2 flips in a laid out position, just a teeny tiny hop at the end. Nice routine.
Nicole Curler, the senior, has battled back from injuries so many times in her career, but gleaming tonight. 9.725, her season best on the vault, and that was at Michigan.
Looked like she was a little crooked in her entry for that vault. It looks like her hand actually slipped off the side of the horse. Here she does that round off back handspring entry. See her hand slip right off the side. So she probably get no block off that horse whatsoever, which is why she landed short here.
As Curler heads back, we move back over to the bars, and Kendra Elm steps in. Her career best, a 9.850, and that was last season that she accomplished that.
Kendra does a hop full, which is a full rotation in the air without touching your hands. Another very difficult skill, executed very nicely. Leading up here to her dismount, double layout. Big double layout, you can see the height as she rolls off that high bar.
And she may just have beaten her season best 9.825 score.
There's that release move right there. You can see how she twists her body in a full rotation, leaving her hands in the air. Double layout in a beautiful position. Teeny tiny hop won't cost her too much.
Elm awaits her score. We move back over to the vaults, and the senior who scored a 9.650 on the bars, Rochelle Robinson. Teammates Kelsey Morley's previous score on the vault, a 9.725, and here's Robinson.
Yurchenko full there.
Her second place finish at Michigan was a 9.850, and she's done that twice. Not sure, did she beat that, you think?
You can see her height off the horse there, yes, but she had a big step on that landing. She closed her hips just a little bit, probably more than she had to. That step will cost her, but nice vault off the horse.
And one of the tops on the bars in 09 won 4 event titles is Alexis Russell, the senior who had a 9.7 on the vault. First place finish in Denver with a 9.875. Let's see if she could top that. That's her high score of the season.
Alexis did a toe shoot handstand, and she also does a Shaposhnikova. Makes me so excited to see. She had some huge height off that low bar. Her hands just wrapped around that high bar, no problem. This is a big routine right here. Just the dismount left. Double layout, she nails it.
Ranked 12th in the country on the bars with a 9.85 average. Alexis Russell sticking it.
There was that huge Shaposhnikova right into that shoot over. She will probably gain a lot of bonus for that connection. Dismount, double layout, 2 flips, laid out position. Nicely landed.
Michelle Robinson going for the all-around this evening. First Spartan in program history to have a perfect 10 on the vault back in 2007.
You can see why Rochelle is in that anchor position. I don't think we've seen a vault tonight that comes off the horse so high. Look at that height.
Beautiful.
And a small look. Her body position is beautiful. She actually opens her hips into a little bit of a flare at the end of that twist, which is beautiful. You don't see that too often. She has enough height to do it.
Kristen Furukawa on the bars. The junior on the team's top bar scores with a career best 9.925 in 2009.
What I noticed about Kristen when she was warming up is her lines. You can see her toe point just extends her legs forever. Big release there.
Tied for 6th all-time in top performers list on the bars, and she's giving an exciting performance here this evening.
Nice giant full on the high bar into that double layout that we've seen. Kind of a large step on that dismount, but a very impressive routine. Here's that release move, a piked Jaeger that we saw also from Lucy. She gained a lot of height off that bar right into a shoot over. You can see those lines on her, which are just beautiful. Here's another look at that stretch double layout. Little bit under rotated, causing her to step forward. Impressive routine though.
Rotation 2 results, Michigan State. Rochelle Robinson, a strong performance.
2 excellent rotations for Rochelle.
And moving over on the flip side of the bars for Minnesota, 3 strong performances on the bars.
That's right, nothing less than a 9.7 for the Golden Gophers.
So the running score right now, Minnesota moving out in front of Michigan State. The Big Ten Network is looking for its most passionate fans with Big Ten super fans. Big Ten Network wants to reward its loyal viewers with a chance to win some great prizes. Tickets to Big Ten games, autographed memorabilia, electronics, and much, much more. Register now at BigTenNetwork.com. Coming up next, the third rotation. Minnesota on the beam and Michigan State on the floor. Welcome back to the Sports Pavilion on the campus of the University of Minnesota. This afternoon, Michigan State taking on Minnesota. Hey, Big Ten fans, now you can get free programming alerts on your mobile phone. Be the first to know your favorite coaches or players will appear on the Big Ten Network. Just text alerts to 20284 or log on to thebigtennetwork.com/alerts. Message and data rates may apply. Warm-up up for the third rotation. Minnesota on the beam, Michigan State on the floor as they take the opportunity here over the last 3 minutes to prepare for the competition. See Alexis Russell for Minnesota. As the preparation starts and the clock continues to tick, Russell on the beam.
By this time, the girls have really settled into sort of the rhythm of the meet. The first two events, you're sort of getting into the rhythm, feeling how that day may be going for you, but by this time, they're geared up, they're ready to go.
All warmed up. Minnesota with a slight edge right now as we are halfway home in the competition. Some of the thoughts as we head down the stretch in the second part of our rotations.
We have to keep in mind that the balance beam is coming up. Everybody talks about how that event can be the nemesis of the competition. And keep in mind that both teams still have that to go, but we also have the floor exercise to go, which is an outstanding event because if the crowd gets involved, you can let it all out. A little bit of an artistic flair there, too.
The personalities will be coming
That's
alive
right.
as we head and start to head towards the end of our competition with the floor, which is always exceptional. A little bit earlier, I had an opportunity to speak with Minnesota standout student athlete Alexis Russell. Alexis, it was interesting reading your bio. One of the things you had mentioned there, you compete to make history. Could you elaborate on that?
You know, as time has progressed, like gymnastics, I didn't even think I'd be doing it in college, and now that I'm here, I've gotten better every single year. So when I say that I compete to make history, I mean every competition I'm going for the highest score that I can get so I can be on the Hall of Fame on the wall in this sports pavilion.
Was that something as a youngster that you had thought about, or when did it all kind of click in that, hey, I could be pretty good at this? Maybe I can get on a wall somewhere.
You know, when I was a lot younger, I was training elite in Kansas City, Missouri, so I was really thinking I was going to go to Olympics one day or something like that, but I ended up quitting for 2 years, so I really didn't have as many expectations when I first came here, but after my freshman year, and I realized that it was all mental, and if I could just figure out a way how I could calm myself down, hit my routines, I was like, okay, I can do this. I can score high. I'm clean. You know, I can do the things that I need to do to be up there.
What are you thinking about those few seconds before you start to clear your head?
You know, right now for me, I know that I am my biggest competitor. So just figuring out how I can get into my zone when I get up there before I compete, relax, and just do the routines like I do them in practice. I mean, every day I come into the gym and I work hard and I hit routines. So this is no different. Just come out here, smile, have fun, and just do great.
We're getting close to graduation, a poli-sci major with some communications involved. What would you like to do after graduation?
Actually, I am going to move to Washington, D.C. in August. So I'm excited about that, and I'm going to take a year off and hopefully do some internships out there and kind of get a good feel of the political atmosphere and see if I want to because I actually want to go to law school. So I want to see what my focus from law is going to be. So is it going to be politics? Is it going to be, in the courts? I don't know yet. So just building experience for 1 year and then heading off to law school after that.
Coming up, the third rotation, Minnesota on the beam, Michigan State on the floor. Welcome back to the Sports Pavilion. Adjacent to the pavilion is Williams Arena, of course, where they play men's and women's basketball. But today, center stage, Big Ten women's gymnastics, Michigan State taking on Minnesota. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Big Ten Conference and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this meet may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Big Ten Conference. Third rotation is about to begin. Minnesota on the beam, Michigan State on the floor. Michigan State making a slight change prior to the event, with Taiki not participating in this event, moving Deneen Haba into that first spot.
Those last-minute changes can be difficult sometimes for the gymnasts because they're prepared for one thing, but they have to be ready to switch, really, if the coach needs them to step in.
And Shannon Golich will be making her debut on the beam. First competition for the young freshman from Aurora, Illinois. Back to the Sports Pavilion. Shannon Golich preparing for her first opportunity as a collegiate competitor on the beam from Aurora, Illinois. And this has to be extremely exciting, nerve-wracking for as many times as she has been in the beam competition.
That's right. Beam is one of those events where it feels very different to compete it than to practice it. I think that beam is just 4 inches wide.
Very little room for
very
error.
Focused here.
She'll have a backward series.
The thing about the beam and the floor, it gives the gymnast a little bit of an artistic freedom with dance included in with the tumbling. She starts out with a single front flip, very nicely landed. Switch leg leap to a straddle jump. There's her dance bonus. You'll see each gymnast do that in their beam routine. A combination of a leap and a jump to get some bonus connection for that.
Simple value mount is A through E.
There were 2 jumps connected right there. She actually did a split full in the second of the 2 jumps, which is very difficult on the balance beam. Nice full turn there. That's a requirement. You'll also see that done by every gymnast here tonight.
Golich says she competes. Golich says she competes because she likes to show what she can do.
And that is a huge, huge dismount right there. She actually combines a flight series with a dismount. She does a back handspring layout directly off the end of the beam. Very, very difficult.
Solid effort. And for Minnesota, the beam has really had been their Achilles heel coming into the tournament, but a solid start by Golich.
Right here, we'll see that big front flip that she immediately started her routine with. This is a big skill to start off with, and she lands it very well. Let's look at this dismount again. I cannot explain how difficult that is, because if one skill is off, all of the rest of the skills was off, and she was right on.
Big smile for the freshman. As we move over to the floor, Deneen Haba, you see her vault score was a 9.65. And on the season, for the floor exercise, her season best, a 9.750.
As I said before, that artistic freedom here on the floor exercise, each gymnast gets to choose which music they want to compete to. First tumbling run. Strong 2.5 twist. She lands forward with a blind landing. That was very well done.
And this is where the personality starts to come out and shine in these young student athletes.
That's right, you can see her eyes looking up, a little smile to her teammates. So front tumbling run, also a requirement in the floor routine.
The choreography at most of these floor exercises, are they the thought process of the athlete, or is it sometimes worked on with a group of people?
You know, it really depends. Sometimes the gymnasts do choreograph them on their own. Sometimes they bring in an outside choreographer, or sometimes even the coach does it. Third and final run here. She does a whip back, which is a no-handed back handspring directly into a 1.5 twist. Nice clean routine for the Spartans to start off. Her second tumbling pass, she chose to do that front run, front full to a front flip. Nicely landed. And her final run is a whip back, as I said, no-handed back handspring into a 1.5 twist. A 1.5 twist being a blind landing as well, but she handled it beautifully.
Strong showing to start the evening off on the floor for Deneen Haba as we move back over now to the beam, and Brianna Jones from Grand Forks, North Dakota, Red River High School and Red River Gymnastics Club.
The Gophers have had a strong start on the balance beam. The first person up on beam is always a very important role. Kind of starting off the event correct.
Had her career best in the Denver meet with a 9.675.
There we just saw a side aerial, a slight balance check, but she was able to pull it right back.
teammate Shannon Golich's score, a 9.6 for the first timer. Prior to Jones's opportunity here on the beam.
It's her flight series coming up. One back handspring to a layout step out. Nice straight legs and no balance errors there. Balance beam is an event where you have to be extremely focused, trying not to hear any outside noise whatsoever. She did a switch leap there. Looked like she meant to connect that straddle jump directly into it. But she is a smart gymnast because she chose to then do 2 jumps in a row to cover for that mistake. She does a very interesting front dismount there. Gainer front full.
Jones.
Here's that flight series that is just almost flawless. This unique dismount, gainer front full, and just a small step to the side.
Be deducted a lot for that slight?
Maybe half a tenth to 1/10, not too much. It's very clean in the twists.
And look at the smiles, Rochelle Robinson. Previous scores from the night on the bars, a 9.825, and on the vault, a 9.85.
She is all smiles out there tonight.
First time this year on the floor for Rochelle, so maybe that's why she's smiling so
And
much.
this is an extremely strong event for her, as she showed last year. I'm sure she's excited to get back out there. First tumbling run. Big double pike. No deductions there at all in that pass.
Rochelle's career best on the floor was back in 07 at the Michigan Classic, a 9.925.
Here's her front tumbling run. Front handspring, front layout to a front tuck. She landed a little bit low, but she is very strong, was able to recover that pass. There's her jump combination.
That 9.950 a couple years back for Rochelle was actually ranked 3rd all time in the school record book, and she's putting on quite a show here this evening.
Third tumbling pass just landed a little bit short. That'll cost her a 5/10 deduction for that fall.
Still a solid routine, still all smiles for the first opportunity this year on the floor for Robinson.
This opening pass of hers, double pike, absolutely beautiful. And this pass, her third tumbling pass, same skill but in a tuck position, 2 flips, just short on the rotation. Probably hurt those ankles a little bit tonight.
And moving back over to the beam, the senior Alexis Russell getting set. Her scores earlier on the vault, a 9.70, and on the bar, 9.850. Season best on the beam this year, a 9.675. Wants to be an attorney, has done an internship already.
Keep an eye out
in
for
DC.
Alexis's beautiful hands, her handwork on beam and floor. That artistry that you don't see too often really just stands out with her. Her flight series, handspring layout step out, no deduction. She looks very poised up there, very calm, which is hard to do on this balance beam. Big jump combination there.
Was that the high-low combination on the jump that is required to go high-low?
The judges definitely count for height, absolutely, how high she leaves that beam. You can see right there she did a front tuck directly connected with a beat jump, and she'll get bonus for that. This is an extremely solid routine so far. Big leap there called a switch side. And you actually lose sight of the beam because you land forward.
We had spoken to her prior to the event, and I said, do you think about that thing only being 4 inches wide? And she said, you know, if I had to start all over again, I probably would, but not this
By
point
this
in my
point,
life.
you don't even know. That was an excellent routine. This flawless series right here. Both legs are straight and no balance checks. She has a punch front full, a blind landing, and does not move those feet. That was a beautiful routine.
Solid effort by the senior poli-science major, minoring in communications. We head back over to the floor. And the junior, Kelsey Morley. So your scores from earlier tonight on the bar is a 9.10 and on the vault a 9.725. Placed in the all-around for the first time in her career at Iowa this year. Finished 3rd overall.
That was a front double full for her mount pass. Very difficult to do on the floor exercise. As I said before, floor is just a great event to compete because you can just let it all out. You have the music to dance to. You don't have much nerves going into floor because you can really use the dynamics and let loose.
And how important is that breath that she has just taken prior to going into those moves?
It is very important. You know, the floor exercise is only a minute 30 in length, but for that minute 30, you are working very hard and get very tired.
Kelsey tied her career high on the floor this season in the opening meets against Penn State, West Virginia, and Western Michigan back on January 8th. She posted a 9.80 in that event. Let's see if she can beat it here.
She has great connection with the audience and her teammates. It really just kind of sucks you into her routine. Her eyes are open, she's smiling. Another front pass to finish there. It's called a front Rudy. It's a 1.5 twist, nicely landed. Some great choreography in this routine.
Kelsey Morley finishing off strong, the junior. Coach K just looking on.
Here's that front double twist here, completing 2 full twists in the air before she lands blindly. And this is very similar pass, but only does 1.5 twists this time, landing the opposite direction. Again, landed very well.
And we head back over to the beam. Jamie Bullock had a 9.850 for the junior on the bar. Bullock, as we mentioned, on the bar for the first time, scoring that great number. And she competed on the bar for the first time in 2 years, now moving over to the beam.
She's probably feeling very confident going into this routine, finishing that outstanding bar set. Flight series right there, handspring, layout, step out. I think I saw a little smile to the judge when she landed so solidly.
Her career best is a 9.875.
Right there, she does a nice split forward flip. She does a nice job as well of taking her eyes off the beam, which is actually very hard to do because you're so focused in. It can actually throw you a little bit, but the Minnesota team is very good at doing that. Adds a nice presence to the beam routine. There's her jump connection, wolf jump to a straddle 3/4. She will gain bonus for that. You can see someone down there holding that mat for her in case it doesn't slip when she does her dismount here. Huge dismount. She has a front aerial into a back full. Very difficult.
One of the tops of the night, no question about it. Jamie Bullock is having an exceptional evening.
This is an interesting view because you can see how narrow the beam is and how square her feet are on the beam. She was very solid in that flight series. Let's look at this very difficult dismount. Front aerial directly into a gainer full.
Unbelievable, no hands.
A lot of people do that gainer full all alone, but Jamie decided to add a front aerial in front of it.
On the floor for Michigan State, Kelly Moffitt.
Moving back over to the floor exercise. Kelly Moffitt, the senior. Flora, Indiana, and Wright's Gymnastic Club.
Because Michigan State has already had a fall in this event, it's very important for the remainder of these girls to really fire up and hit these routines.
Kelly's going to have a birthday here pretty soon.
Landed a little short on that double pike, put two hands down. That mat is there in the corner just for a little extra cushion on the surface. Maybe she has bad ankles and just wanted to protect herself. It's sometimes difficult to finish your routine after you fall on the very first pass. Looks like she's pulling it out though. Landing short like she did on that first pass sometimes really crunches your ankles. And you really have no choice but to continue the routine and do the best you can. She's doing a good job here so far.
One of four seniors for Coach Kathy Plagas.
Must be why she's doing such a good job of continuing being a senior.
Looking right
that
into
was
the camera.
nice. Right to the
Beautiful.
camera.
Working it.
Third pass also a little short.
Kelly Moffitt to the senior.
This first pass here, she'll do two flips in a pike position. You can see she's just a little under rotated and put those hands down. That'll be a 5/10 deduction. Second pass, front handspring front fold directly to a front tuck where she'll get bonus. Pulls it out nicely. And look at this artistic expression, exactly what we're talking about. That is nice to see.
And we move back over to the beam. Excuse me, the captain for the Golden Gophers, Kristen Furukawa.
There's a great creative mount right there. She mounts on the end of the beam and rolls herself pretty much down to the other end. That was really pretty. You can see her toe point and her beautiful lines in her legs on this event, as well as we saw on the bars. Preparing for her flight series. Solid handspring without step out.
Kristen competed in 3 events a year ago. The bar, the beam, and the vault. This year, more focusing on just 2, the beam and the bar.
She just completed a front aerial, which is a skill you lose sight of the beam as you're actually flipping around, which can be difficult because you don't know if your foot's going to land on the beam or not.
So the value would obviously go up on that.
Definitely.
Nicely done.
Cartwheel, gainer full dismount. Beautifully stuck landing.
Well, her season high is a 9.825. It'll be interesting to see what the judges give Kristen Furukawa.
Let's look at this very artistic mount. It is so refreshing to see this type of artistry in gymnastics still. This solid flight series, traveling down the beam, nice straight legs, and just the tiniest of balance checks at the end. And this beautifully executed dismount, no leg separation and no step on that landing.
#1 on the beam all season long, Kristen Furukawa, and she should receive a solid score for that effort. Moving back over to floor, Emily Lopatowski had ruptured her Achilles towards the end of last season.
That can be a career-ending injury. It is a huge injury for anyone, especially a gymnast. So to see her back, not only in the competition, but on floor exercise, is a feat in itself.
Absolutely, and she ranked 11th in the Big Ten on the floor in 2009, even with that injury. Previous meets at Michigan was the first time that Emily appeared on the floor routine. So this is her second opportunity tonight in front of this gracious crowd.
First tumbling pass. Big double pike. I do remember her from last year. She is a little powerhouse. Makes all that tumbling, which is so difficult, look so easy. Nice jump combination there of 3 jumps in a row, gaining a lot of bonus for her. You can see that tiny strip of chalk in the very corner that lets the girls know, do not take a step back or you will be out of bounds.
Her career best on the floor is a 9.9 twice. The last time that Emily was able to accomplish that was at Pittsburgh back in February of '09, so almost a year ago.
Only one more pass to go. The first 2 were done very well. Last one coming up here. And she fought for that landing. She was a little under-rotated, landed pretty stiff-legged, but she did not fall.
Solid effort for the senior majoring in advertising.
Let's look at this huge double pike. You can see that the distance between the floor and her. Continues this routine very solidly here. Double back, great landing. We'll see what happened here on her third pass. She just lands a little under-rotated and lands with a straight leg coming forward. Probably didn't feel so good for her. She didn't give up. She took a step back and stayed on those feet.
Took a slight breath and recaptured her composure as we head back over to the beam. Ana Balboa, the junior from Monterrey, Mexico, and the Elite Gymnastics Academy.
That is a huge mount to start off with, off the springboard front flip. A lot of gymnasts choose just to do a simple mount to sort of start the beam routine confidently, but she really went for it.
9.825 is her career best, and that came in January at Denver.
Nice show of flexibility there, straddle split on the beam.
Competed in the beam in every event in 2009, was one of Minnesota's top scorers.
Nice full turn there. She actually chose to start her full turn in a passe position, which is a little different than we've seen from other girls.
Final competitor for the Golden Gophers, ranked 2nd right now on the team on the beam.
She completed a big leap there. Switch side. Again, not seeing the beam when you land is very difficult. It's very nicely done. Dismount here, gainer full. Slight hop on that landing. Let's take a look at this big mount. It's interesting perspective seeing it from the end. You can see how her feet were just fighting to stay on that beam. All 10 toes working. Flight series, handspring layout, step out. Little balance check there, but brought it back. Big dismount, gainer full. Nicely executed.
And we head back over to the floor. You see Nicole Curler's score in both the vault and the bars.
This is an important floor routine for Nicole. The two competitors before her fall. She needs a big score to help this team out. Nice first tumbling run, double pike. You can see her teammates mimicking her dance in the background. Second tumbling run. She does a whip half to a front full punch front.
Performer on all 13 meets a year ago. Second team all Big Ten.
Big jump combination there. Still all smiles out there. By this point in the routine, tend to get a little tired, but we don't see that from Nicole.
And a career best, 9.950 at Florida in 2007.
This is a great routine so far. She has one pass left. Front handspring 1.5 twist directly connected to what's called a Shushinova, where you actually land on your stomach, and no, it does not hurt that bad.
Good padding underneath. Nicole Curler, a solid effort. And there is a reason why
Spartans
Nicole
definitely
Curler is
needed
left,
this routine. First tumbling run, double pike. Great height off that floor. Here she goes, whip half, punch front full, directly connected to another punch front. A lot of bonus going on in that run. Final run here, handspring 1.5 twist, connected to a Shushinova. Flies back a little bit, but stays in bounds.
Results from rotation 3 competitors for the Golden Gophers above 9.8.
That's right, that is a great overall score for the Minnesota team on the balance beam.
And trouble for Michigan State on the floor tonight. They experienced a couple of falls and it affected them in the scores.
That's right, and they will have to count those falls towards this score, and this rotation might really hurt Michigan State.
And so that has affected the overall score. The Golden Gophers moving out a little bit more in front as we head to that fourth rotation. And coming up in the fourth rotation, Michigan State moves to the beam, Minnesota to the floor. Welcome back to the Pavilion. Big Ten Women's Gymnastics, 19th ranked Michigan State taking on Minnesota. Leah Secondo alongside former U.S. Olympian Elise Ray, and join the thousands who have already become fans of the Big Ten Network on Facebook. Get programming information, play Big Ten trivia, and interact with other Big Ten fans. Join us today at facebook.com/the Big Ten Network. Well, as we prepare for our fourth rotation of Michigan State on the beam and Minnesota on the floor, we have a discrepancy in the score, and the judges are reviewing that right now.
Sometimes what happens is the coaches see a different score than what the judges have presented. These coaches know the routines in and out, so if that discrepancy happens, then they turn in an inquiry to the head table, and we'll see what happens.
Head coach Kathy Klages, 20 years she has been coaching, and at Michigan State, Big Ten champions in 2009, a finish of 6th place. 2009, the Central Regional finish was 4th, and we have a change in the lineup in this fourth rotation, a late change, as Jackie Berg will be inserted into that 4th spot for Michigan State. How does that play into this last rotation for Kelly Moffitt?
Since this was a last-minute decision, she has a big task at hand. She probably wasn't as mentally prepared as the other girls who knew they were competing. Maybe she was a little more cold, but she doesn't have a choice, and I think she'll do just fine.
Amber Hammerschmidt will be first up for Minnesota, competing in the floor for the first time in her first event of the evening. Rochelle Robinson prepares for the final event of the evening for Michigan State Spartans on this fourth rotation. Michigan State on the beam, Minnesota on the floor. There was an inquiry, and the judges have decided that the score stands, and right now, Minnesota with a slight edge over Michigan State as we head into this fourth rotation.
Michigan State having a tough event to end the competition on. Had a few falls on floor, so I'm sure the girls are feeling the pressure right now to really finish up on beam very strong. Leap pass there, switch leap to a straddle half. Michelle has a very important role right here, being the first person up on the balance beam this rotation. Front aerial to an immediate back handspring step out, and flawlessly done. Full turn with a little bit of an over rotation there. That full turn is tricky. It's a simple skill, but you add nerves into the equation and it can trip you up a little bit. Back handspring to a gainer full. Nice routine to start the Spartans off.
Her season high is a 9.8.
Back handspring step out, directly swings that leg in front to start her twist. This connection will give her bonus, and nice landing.
So the senior Rochelle Robinson starts things off as we head into this fourth rotation. The Spartans slightly behind Minnesota. And the Golden Gophers are prepared now. And Amber Hammerschmidt from Rosemont, Minnesota, and Twin City Twisters Club team. Second time this year that Amber has performed a floor routine.
Amber has great artistry in this floor routine. I saw her warming it up. Really stands out. First tumbling run, 2.5 twists. Looks like she stayed in bounds there. Just watch her hands and her arms and her expression in her dance. It's beautiful.
This is only the second time truly in her collegiate career that Amber has participated in the floor.
And being in a tough spot, number one spot up, kind of setting the theme for the event. Strong second pass there.
Judges are even smiling. That always helps.
Sure does. It's a good sign. Leap combination. We may know the standings thus far. The girls, once you're competing out there, you really do not know anything. How far the spread is or anything like that. You're just trying to do your job out there. Nice solid front pass to end that floor routine with. Nice routine.
Amber Hammerschmidt starts off the floor nicely for the Golden Gophers.
Her opening tumbling run here. 2.5 twists, landing forward. Front pass for her second tumbling run as she flips forward out of that 1.5 twist. And real clean third pass here. Front full, immediate front tuck after, very clean.
And we head back over to the beam. Shanti Taiki, freshman of the week in the Big Ten. You see her scores in the vault and the bars earlier this evening.
She's trying to follow Michelle's great routine that she opened the Spartans up with. Setting up here for her flight series. Handspring layout, step out, very solid. There's her leap combination, giving her some bonus for her total score. There's that front flip on the beam. A front flip on the floor is hard enough, but on 4 inches wide. That requirement of the full turn done very nicely, very smooth. She looks very confident up there. Gearing up here for what looks to be her dismount, very last thing of the routine. Punch front full, tiniest hop.
Shanti Taiki with a good finish. Should definitely help her season average of a 9.63.
Nice solid flight series here. She doesn't move a muscle. Well done. Here's that front landing again, front full, and just a small hop.
And we head back over to the floor. It's Brianna Jones, the sophomore, her beam score of a 9.30. For the sophomore from Grand Forks, North Dakota. This is her second opportunity of the season competing on the floor.
That was a big turn to start out with. If you could see, she turned on the floor, but her leg was held out in front of her at a 90-degree angle. Very difficult turn. First tumbling run, front handspring 1.5 twist. Floor exercise is always a fun event to compete in your home arena because the crowd gets into it, gives you that little boost of energy.
And as you move along, do you start to feel like I'm conquering this?
Definitely, definitely. That's why that first tumbling run is so important. When you hit it, you're fired up for the rest of your routine.
And let's face it, the people at home love all this flippy stuff.
They sure. I don't think they know necessarily what it is, but they like to see it.
Artistic beauty working in front of the crowd.
Right, her head is up, her eyes are up. Again, really connecting with her teammates and the audience. So important on the floor exercise. One more pass here. She's had 2 very solid passes so far. Whip to a 1.5 twist. Very clean routine.
Nicely done, Brianna Jones. Coach Stevenson looking. I told us a little bit earlier. She said, you know, my young ladies are practicing so well, they just need to translate that out to the floor.
First tumbling pass here, front handspring, front 1.5 twist. And second pass, round off whip half, that back handspring again, no hands with a half twist. Little hops there into the corner, but she stayed in bounds. Final tumbling run, whip directly to a 1.5 twist. And she looks happy. Coach is happy. Always a good thing.
We always like it when Coach is happy. We all live for Coach being happy.
That's right.
That's any coach. We head back over to the beam. And Emily Lopatowski. Lopatowski with a beautiful mount.
Stepping up here for her flight series, going to travel down the beam, handspring layout. Nicely done. In the air of that flight series, you can feel whether you're directly on or a little crooked, and it's really up to you to try and fix that before you land, as you could see that Emily did. Big front tuck, beautiful, did not budge.
Solid landing.
That's a skill there, that front tuck that's very much determined on the takeoff position. If you take off slightly crooked, there's a slight chance that you could pull it back on. But she was nice and straight. And she does first flip dismount, similar to what you may see in diving.
Coach Klages is there for the first high fives.
Flight series handspring. Back layout step out. You can see the slightest knee bend. Look at this interesting dismount here. Like she's going into a pool. Very clean.
Back over to the floor. Ana Balboa, the native of Monterrey, Mexico, and the junior who had a 9.60 on the beam.
Starting off her floor choreography, very intense, kind of draws you right in. Front flip through to double back. Pulls it around nicely. When you add that front tuck before the round off back handspring double back, adds a lot more difficulty to it.
Balboa has added the floor routine during her collegiate career.
There's that whip half to a front layout where you start the skill backwards and actually twist halfway in it to then change the direction and go forward. There's her jump combination. You can see a variation of that Shushnova where she lands on her stomach. Double pike for her dismount on the floor exercise. Huge pass to end that routine with.
Ana Balboa.
Nice routine. Take a look at this first tumbling pass, front through to two flips in a tuck position. And this final run, it's worth mentioning that this pass is often done in the first tumbling run of routines, but she chose to do it at the end, which makes it a lot more difficult, and she really pulls it around.
And we will head back over to the beam and the sophomore, Jackie Berg, for Tinley Park, Illinois. And on the beam, her only opportunity on the beam this year was at Michigan on January 20th, where she scored a 9.1.
And this is the gymnast that was put in at the last minute, so she had a lot of mental preparation to do right before she goes up.
Just couldn't hold on.
Jackie just did what's called a triple series. It's 3 skills in a row, and mostly tonight we've seen 2 skills. What's more difficult than 2. She just picked up her chest a little bit too quick there at the end. She couldn't quite bring it back down fast enough to stay on. The triple series takes up the full length of the beam. Trying to regain her composure up there. Still looks pretty confident though. Nice leap combination. Two nice leap combinations in a row.
And considering that Jackie Berg was a late change for this 4th rotation for Kelly Moffitt, extremely composed under the pressure of the competition.
Big dismount to finish. Round off twists. Nicely done. Here's that flight series 1, 2, and 3 skills down the beam. And you can see her feet are just teetering on the end of that beam. Strong dismount here, big round off, 2 twists before her feet land.
Back over to the floor for Minnesota, Germantown, Wisconsin native freshman Janelle Campbell. On the floor this season high 9.9 for first meet of the year against Denver.
Huge double pike to start that routine. She has beautiful dance as well, very sharp. Second tumbling run. 2 front layouts in a row. You can see her foot was right in that corner, but she knew it. She stayed in.
How much does the smiling play into the judges' score?
They like it. They definitely like it. I don't think that they can actually give you anything more for it, but it all counts in the artistry of the routine, which does in fact count in the final score. Minnesota really does have some beautiful choreography. Final tumbling pass. One and a half twist directly to a front tuck. This is a great routine.
Nicely done. One of the finest of the night.
Yes,
Janelle
I would
Campbell.
agree with that.
There's a reason why Janelle is ranked first on the team.
Huge double pike here. Her legs are just glued together, ankles together, knees together. It's beautiful. Second pass here. Front handspring, 2 stretched layouts in a row. A little tiny arabesque at the end. And final tumbling run here. 1.5 twist going backwards, changing directions with a front tuck.
Janelle Campbell putting on a show for the faithful here at the Sports Pavilion. And we move back over to the beam now for Michigan State's Kelsey Morley. Kelsey scored from 3 previous events. Interesting mount.
Very nice mount, showing off ability, grabbing her foot under the beam.
One of the top returnees for the Spartans this year.
And she looks very composed up there. You can tell her experience.
Just a junior and one of the top returnees for the Spartans on the beam on the 2010 Big Ten Gymnast to Watch list.
2 big skills in a row right there. Front aerial and then directly going back. Beautiful turn right there in a back arabesque position. And just nicely done.
Woo! What flexibility.
Nice. And strength.
I think probably the most unique moves that we've seen thus far tonight.
Yes, I would agree. She's even cracking a little smile up there. She feels good up there, very confident. Two big skills again in a row. Back handspring directly followed by a side aerial. Doing 2 skills together will gain her bonus. And a stuck landing, 1.5 twist.
Kelsey Morley sticks the dismount.
Let's look at this beautiful entry to the beam. Arches right over, grabs her foot under the beam. Beautiful. And big pairing of skills here. Front aerial, pulls out that little bobble directly into a back tuck. Solid. And we see the drop from the end of the beam. Interesting perspective. And back shoulder roll.
Wow.
Some great, great artistry in this routine. Beautiful dismount.
Super job. Kelsey Morley, one of the more entertaining movements on the beam for routine this season. Back over to the floor, Kendra Elm. So your scores on the vault and the bars for the junior from Plymouth, Minnesota.
She has some really great performances to follow. We'll see if she can keep this up. First tumbling run. Another very clean double pike. Legs are straight, solid landing.
guess one thing we remember from